Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. Now, my next guest actually will help you enhance your superpowers, well, sort of, when you're younger. Now, I know a lot of you are a little older. Now, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and but if you have kids and they're thinking about emulating you as a leader, as a coach, as someone of authority, then Celia Kibler is going to help not only stop the tantrums, but kind of start that cooperation. And I think you're going to be able to take this to your kids and help them, but also to some of your staff. Welcome and thanks for being here, Celia.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Rob. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I met Celia at Speakeasy in San Diego, and a lot of you guys know that I speak, of Speakeasy on a lot of these e-heroes. And what makes Celia a little different is that she, works with you to teach your children better techniques on, not having tantrums. And, as we
Through
know,
life.
yeah, and as we know, a lot of things have changed because of COVID. Us adults are getting a little bit more stressed. But it seems not only on social media, but the newspapers seem to be glorifying adult tantrums. And to me, I would just like to if you ever watch NCIS, the Gibb smack.
Right.
Which one of you? And granted, you can't do that because they'd probably arrest me, but and throat punches, you just can't do that anymore because Facebook has told me I'm not even allowed to use that word anymore on Facebook, or I get kicked out. They gave me a 24-hour suspension, and it's just getting kind of silly, I think.
Yeah, it is. And you talk about how the adults act, and that is so key on how children act.
Yeah.
And you want your child to be a leader. You want your child to think for themselves. You want your child to be self-sufficient. My tagline in Pumped Up Parenting is, because we're raising adults, not children. And that's what we're doing. That's why we have to be intentional with all of this.
Yeah, I have 6 kids, and they're not always, they don't always act the best. I have 4 grandkids, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs right now not only have, probably, a very successful business, I would hope, but they have families. And, sometimes it's hard to balance, that act, especially for me, because I work from home. Now, I do have a team of excellent helpers, but they're scattered all over the United States, Canada. So, I don't always have to interact with them day in and day out like some people do. They take that stress of dealing with their employees home, and then they don't know how to deal with their kids.
Exactly. How many people have bad days and they walk in and they take it out on their children and they yell at them, and it's not even their kids' fault. They're just taking their day out on those that they know they can take their day out on. And, I'm on a mission to stop 1 million parents from yelling at their kids. And it's because yelling and aggression is so destructive. And that's the thing that plants in all of our heads. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of listeners have these thoughts in their heads, those voices that tell them they're not good enough, that no matter what they do is not right.
Yeah.
And they always second guess themselves, and they grow up hating themselves. And that's what this chaotic stress, yelling, aggression is causing. And in COVID, it's only increasing.
Yeah. And all the kids want is, hugs or kisses or attention. And when they don't get it, they act up. And the parents like, oh, well, he's got ADD or ADHD. We need to medicate him. It's not the answer either.
Exactly. I just had this conversation with a woman who's going to be a guest on my podcast, and she is an occupational therapist. And we're just talking about how parents in this day and age and the information highway, I, like you, Rob, I think we're of the same generation. I have 9 grandkids, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't even have the internet, yet enough, all this information when we were growing up. And now there's so much information, and parents are so quick to jump to oh, this child is autistic, or this child has ADD or has ADHD. And I have clients in my tranquility tribe, and they will say, well, my kid has so much energy. Do you think I should get him diagnosed? I'm like, well, no, because your kid has so much energy. That's what kids have. Lots and lots of energy. That's how they're wired. So you need to be burning that energy, not always pushing them aside and having them stay quiet.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I was always a curious kid. I got into everything. I mean, I tore things apart. And my dad was always mechanical. And he always said, hey, I'll help you out. And I just tore stuff apart. And then I never could figure out how to put it back together. But that's how you learn.
Exactly. There are a lot of future engineers out there.
Kids today, they have no idea what pixie sticks are, or pickup sticks. They don't have Lincoln logs, and I say, how about Legos? Oh yeah, is that on video game? And, and it's like, no, it's actual Legos.
Actual building construction.
And
Lincoln logs are awesome. And there are still Lincoln logs. I mean, they still exist.
Oh yeah, you can find them.
I think they're plastic now. I don't think they're wood like back in the day. But
I like the wood ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, they eliminated a lot of the things that we grew up on, and now kindergartners have cell phones, and it's like, okay, you're like 6 years old. Are you conducting business? Are you listening to a podcast? What do you need a phone
are you,
for?
boss? No, they're just being babysat.
Yeah.
Because so much of electronics now is put in front of children to babysit them while their parents do whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And the reality is it doesn't take a lot of your time to connect with your child. Mm-hmm. Take 10, 15 minutes a day and actually do something interactive with your child. And then after you do that 10 to 15 minutes, you know what? They'll sit and play with themselves. Yeah. They do not need to be entertained 24/7. In fact, it's terrible for them to be entertained 24/7 because, Rob, you and I as entrepreneurs, a lot of the genius happens when you're just sitting around, you're driving, you're going to the bathroom, you're taking a shower, that downtime. That's when all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is a great idea. And your kids need that.
Most of my brilliant ideas come when I'm, mowing the lawn. And people say, well, do you push mow the lawn? Yeah, I push mow the lawn. And I have a half acre. I put my headphones on. I listen to my music. And I go out and push. And it takes about an hour and a half, and do it every week. But I walk around. I'm looking around all the neighbors, and they're all old like me, pushing. They're most of them are riding mowers now because they can't walk right. But I don't see any kids mowing. And that's the problem. I started mowing lawns when I was like 10 or 11, and I started earning money, and that was how I became an entrepreneur. It was that sideline job as a young kid. Kids today, they don't want to do the hustle. They don't want to. But they want $20 an hour.
Right, exactly. They want to come out of college and make $150 an hour.
Yeah.
I came out of college. I made back in '79. $12 an hour, which was more than one of my professors who was making $10 an hour. But, so I thought I was like rolling in it. But
my first job, I got paid $3.35 an hour. And my youngest son just got a job making $14 an hour part-time. Just what?
Yep. I know it's really, it's so funny the changes and the work ethic. I always try to work with parents to understand that and to instill that work ethic in your child is so important. And you need to really focus on the hard work they're doing. Don't focus on their grades. Don't focus on the end result. That can always be changed.
I had
focus on the process.
I had horrible grades, in my teenage years. And a couple of teachers went to bat for me to get me into a higher class because they knew I needed it. But the problem is nowadays the teachers don't go to bat for the kids, and they say it is what it is. You know, you didn't learn, you didn't study. It's all your fault. They demoralize, demotivate the kids, and the kids are like, well, I don't want to be here. And the dropout rate now is so high. You know,
Right.
the kids are like, you know, uh, I know so many people, they'll get to the 10th grade and I was like, screw it, I'll just get my GED.
Yeah.
You
There's
know?
no motivation. There's no fun. The school system, that could be a whole nother podcast. But, I remember when my kids were growing up, my son had this incredible teacher and she taught history and social studies. And she would have them do all these projects. And then when they got through the day early, she had buckets, like this gigantic bucket full of balls and frisbees and all. And they were allowed to play in the classroom for whatever time they had left. Every kid in that class aced that class. They all worked and they all earned those A's. They weren't given, they were earned because they were inspired. And now they just teach to the test and kids are never inspired to learn.
Yeah. You know, we were always encouraged to, you know, pick up books that met our personality. You know, and if you know me, a lot of my latest books are all about my personality. They're all about sarcasm. You know, they're all, but they all teach a lesson. And I think if kids learn to embrace their personality better, you know, you'd have more go-getters instead of these wannabe entrepreneurs who are always screaming at everybody, thinking, "Hey, I'm the diva. Look at me." That's not how it works, bud. So,
we need to make them realize there's a world out there outside of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, all of this where parents, what we were just talking about, where parents are always trying to make their kids happy, you're setting them up for disaster. Welcome to life when things don't always go your way. And if you make your children believe that everything will go their way, guess what they're going to have? What's going to happen when they become adults? They're going to be addicted to a substance, or they're going to be suicidal, or they're going to be self-harming themselves because they can't deal with the disappointment.
Oh, you know, and what I don't like is that the kids now are hooked on a lot of YouTube shows, you know, geared to their age. And, you know, they'll get asked in school, what do you want to do, you know, when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a YouTube star.
Yes.
Okay, but are you going to put in the discipline to get to that point, or do you think you just can pick up a camera and start making, you know, videos? And you know, when they start making videos, they realize that they're awful, and then it's YouTube's fault. You know?
Right. Yeah, they don't see the work that goes, even, you know, for musicians, all those people that kids tend to emulate, they don't see the work behind the scenes that goes in to getting that person to the level that they're at. And they just think it's all so easy.
Yeah. It's never easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But you know, what we do is you know, I kind of pity the next generation. You know, my grandkids are great, but you know, how's this world going to be run by people who, you know, were given things, you know, they didn't earn it. They didn't work hard for it. And, you know,
they take the easy way out.
They're going to be the future entrepreneurs, and you know, I want them to know that they have to pay attention to what's going on. They have to look at, you know, their fathers and grandfathers or grandparents, see what they're doing, and they got to work hard. And I don't know. Sometimes I think social media and YouTube, and these are subjects I love. I teach my clients, but I think they give the kids the wrong impression on how easy life, you know, is or should be.
And I think the parents they're not aiding their kids to learn what's important, to learn, you know, the things that they need to build a healthy life, to become self-sufficient, to feel worthy of success, all of those things, to build a confident child so that they can be an adult that can be our next generation and impress all of us.
Right.
And, make themselves happy, live a happy life.
Yeah.
And that's why I wrote my book, because, and I work a lot with parents of toddlers because they're toddlers, and that's the part you got to be sticking those seeds in those kids then, so they know what to do when they grow up.
Well, let's talk about your book. I mean, I think I saw a picture. It's pretty darn thick.
It is it's about 300 pages.
Raising Happy Toddlers.
Raising Happy Toddlers, how to build great parenting skills and stop yelling at your kids. But I wrote this like a manual. You know how everybody has kids, they go, kids don't come with a manual. So I felt the need to write one. So I wrote one. And it reads like a manual. You can go look up, my kid's lying. You can look up, how to get everybody on the same page. You can look up tantrums, like you talked about, potty training, and pretty much everything in this book, regardless of the age of your child, is relevant. Granted, if you have a 16-year-old, they're probably already potty trained, hopefully. So you may want to skip that chapter. But pretty much every other chapter deals with good, constructive, calm communication, how to build trust and respect between you and your kids, which is imperative for teenagers. Start working on that now, because a teenager will disconnect from you quickly if they don't feel like you trust or value them. All of that's in here. Having difficult conversations with your kids. It really, it's focused on raising happy toddlers, but it works for any child of any age and any parent.
Yeah. And I think that's something that everybody needs. Although, there's going to be people that are like, oh, well, I don't want to read it. It's going to take too much time. I'd rather just watch Netflix and binge for 3 hours while my kid plays video games. Yeah, that's really paying attention to them, isn't it? But that's the world we live in.
It is. And sometimes you can't help those that are not willing to be helped. No. There's a lot of people out there that ask for help, but constantly complain and aren't willing to do anything. I know you and I have all met people like that. Your listeners have all met people like that. They ask for help, and yet they don't take your advice, but they continually complain about whatever issue they're having.
Yeah.
Which is why, part of the reason why I wrote this like a manual, so you could look up chapters on things. I'm struggling with this. Let me look this up. Let me see what I'm supposed to do. And I really pride myself in giving parents tips that they can take action on and they get success. I have so many parents as clients in my Tranquility Tribe that will say to me, gosh, Celia, you told me to do this and it was like magic. I did it and it worked. But it's not really magic. I mean, it's great if you like to think it's magic and I'm magical, but it really is just understanding the child you're working with, understanding that the human brain doesn't develop for 25 years, and that your toddler, if you're like, man, they act like they're playing with half a deck, guess what? They're playing with half a deck. They don't have a fully developed brain. They can't respond to you like an adult. Even a 14-year-old can't. Right. It's not difficult. It's impossible.
Right.
So stop expecting them to and start understanding that creature that you gave birth to.
Yeah. And all that can apply to, I mean, if you anybody listening, if you guys have unruly employees or you think that they act like, children, maybe this book is good for you, because now you're going to see why they're acting this way. And a lot of employees bring their problems to work. In fact, the other day I was in a grocery store and every single employee was on their phone or listening to headphones. And I'm thinking, in my day, now we're going back sometime, but, my first job was at a grocery store. And, we didn't have phones back then, but you had to pay attention to the customer. You had to pay attention to what was going on. If someone came up to you and asked you a question, you had to know the answer. Now you walk up to somebody, they got their headphones on, they're not paying attention to you. You ask them a question and they're going to ignore you. But it's everywhere. Every place I go, Target, Walmart, the employees have their headphones in and their phone in their back pocket. And they're all distracted.
Yeah, and they're all allowed to do that. And I also have a kids fitness business, and we when my teachers are teaching or running camps, that phone is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And parents, it's also important, and it's important for business owners to also remember that if you are trying to speak to someone respectfully, the phone does not belong in your hand.
Yeah.
Because all you're saying to that person is this phone is more important than you.
Mm-hmm.
So parents put it down, employers put it down, employees put it down, because that person you're talking to should hold some level of importance in your life and in your day.
Yeah. Yeah. But we coddle everybody. We coddle our kids, we coddle our employees. We're told we can't do this, we can't do that. Even the schools are letting the kids take cell phones in the class, and even my grandson comes home with a laptop from school. The school provide. I'm like, you're 8 years old. What the heck you need a laptop for? And they're not teaching them the basics anymore. None of the kids know how to write. They don't know how to sign their name.
No, there's no handwriting anymore.
They don't know how to tell time, with the old clocks with the face, and hey, what time is it? Oh, let me look at my phone.
And it will tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really is a need to get back to basics.
Mm-hmm.
And really get kids understanding, one, how to do the simple things in life, teaching them life skills that they need so that they can be a self-sufficient adult, listening to stories of grandparents and other generations so they can learn from that. They can hear accurate history instead of what they decided the history is that people should learn, the real history.
Right.
And get excited about life itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more than being a blob watching a screen.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's I think that not only the parents, but the kids have to take back, the old ways of doing things, and we need to just put our phones away. But it's hard.
Exactly.
We've been tethered too long.
Yeah.
I think I've had a phone since 1994.
Yeah. I have my bag phone. Do you have a bag phone?
Yeah, I called it the lung, the extra lung. It was yeah, I mean, technology is great. I love it to do certain things, but it's taking away the discipline and the upbringing of the next generation.
Exactly.
And I think this generation, my generation, is considered the last of the people who had that knowledge between when computers didn't exist to now. Everybody else has been born into this knowledge that, hey, I just have to Google it. I'll Google my remedy. I'll Google, what's wrong with me. Okay.
But long gone are the encyclopedias of the world.
Yeah.
And now you just Google Britannica. You don't actually pick up a heavy Britannica with its little rice paper pages and look something up.
Yeah.
And, I always get asked, Rob, people will always say, well, you can't parent children today like I parented my kids, 30 years ago, or my parents parented. But the thing is, don't we want people that are respectful and kind and compassionate and thoughtful and all of those qualities that, are well-mannered children that, think of others when thinking of themselves also, helpful to others, neighborly, all of that still matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's all this new stuff that they can learn about on the internet and everything, but teaching kind, compassionate, well-mannered, respectful human beings never goes out of style.
No, and it's something that's going to take you further in the entrepreneurial world than all the what I call the BS. The media tells, hey, you can't do this with the kids. You can't do this. You got to do it this way. This is the new scientific way. I don't need the new scientific way. I
Right.
need what works. I need the proven method that my parents and grandparents used, and that's the problem is divorce rates are higher than they ever have been. Kids, they're like, oh, I got a brother, I got a stepbrother, I got a half brother, I got this, I got that. Nobody's learning anything. They just think
Yeah.
it's normal.
And nobody's making an effort to be better. That's why I decided to become a parenting coach. And I actually call myself a family empowerment coach because I bring together so many aspects of family,
Hmm.
health, wellness, the unity of a family, blended families. I've been successfully parenting a blended family for over 25 years.
Hmm.
And there are things, the reason it works in my family and the reason it works for the families that I coach is because we as parents become intentional with what we're doing. We become proactive instead of reactive, and we get to know how to communicate in a calm, peaceful, cooperative way without all the aggression, yelling, screaming, hitting, without all of that, which just makes people feel like garbage.
Yeah. And you can expand that concept because, you know, those who have family owned businesses or those who have the warm and inviting family type of a business where, you go in and everybody treats you as a family.
Right.
These concepts work the same because you're going in and you're helping, the environment, not the environment, but the I always stumble over these words,
I
trying to
know,
get
but I
something.
know what you mean.
But
I
yeah,
just bought a car from a car dealership. Who thinks of car dealerships as welcoming people?
mhm.
These people, I found a car that I liked on their lot. My husband went into the hospital. He had Legionnaire's disease and heart failure.
Mhm.
I called him back. I said, you know what? I can't. He survived. He's doing well. He's in the living room. Um, I told him, you know what? Just don't worry about it. I can't get in there. I got to stay in the hospital. These people held that car for me for 7 days.
Wow.
Other people were interested. They texted me every day just to see how my husband was doing and to tell me that they were praying for him.
Mhm.
I was like, even if I go see that car and I decide I don't like it, I'm getting something from these people
Yeah.
because who does that in
Right.
this day and age?
Yeah. Yeah. You
And
go the extra mile
yeah,
you know,
it means so much.
right.
So teach your children to do that too, because it means, don't you want to have clients that are like that? Don't you want to work in a work environment that's like that, that's respectful and that, people talk kindly to each other and compassionately to each other?
Yeah.
We all want that, hopefully.
I used to have a client who had a family owned business and they advertised as family owned business and they had brothers and sisters and brother-in-laws and nieces and nephews. And so you walked in and you got the sense that, it was this family owned, tight knit, business. And then you go back into the service department and you hear one of the guys that the owners cursing somebody out. And I'm like, families don't do that. And then you go up and discover that, one of the nieces can't stand working here anymore because, all the BS and the politics and whatnot. And I'm like, right there, they could have used your book because
Right.
they're all acting like toddlers. They're all acting like
They
divas.
are. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is so true. And it's so important. I don't even know if I told you this, Rob, but I'm actually creating the International Day of Calm.
Mm.
So I'm starting a day in April. It will be April 5th. That's the day my dad passed away in 2020,
Mm.
the year of COVID. And I'm starting this day because don't you think the world would change if everybody just calmed themselves down for one day? They would feel what it's like. When I stop parents from yelling, I do peaceful parenting challenges to stop parents from yelling in 5 days. And they always do by the first or second day. And they're just like, it feels great not to yell at their kids. So I'm working on getting the whole world to just calm down for one day.
Yeah.
One day.
Just calm down.
Just calm down.
Every time I say that to my kids, just calm down. They don't do it because it doesn't have any meaning. But I think if there was a day that we could actually get inspired to get behind, maybe they'll feel a sense of, hey, this is the community's calming down, not just me,
right?
Everybody. And that sounds great.
And don't you think we need more community in this world?
We do. We need more events. COVID killed all that, and I'm not sure it was done on purpose, but there just seems to be so many angry people out there. I think deep down they just needed to feel connected to somebody, and you got people trapped at home now that always went into work because it was their escape. Now they're at home and they don't know what to do because their kids are home. They're trying to work, they can't balance. And I think people need to be able to fix their home life. Be calm at home before they go to work.
Yes,
I think it should be a superpower that they master. And I think once they do that, all the businesses will explode in profits, because now you got people that just want to help.
Right. Exactly. I always say, if you start your day out yelling at your kid for whatever reason, and so many parents do, number one, how can your child possibly have a good day?
Right.
And how can you have a good day? You've already started your day on this sour note.
Yeah. So how can people get a hold of you? Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, you can get a hold of me by reaching out. You can go to my website, which is pumpedupparenting.com. My podcast, also Pumped Up Parenting. Pumped Up Parenting. There's a lot. Facebook, I'm on every media. My books, you can find my books, Raising Happy Toddlers, and my 3 children's books, all about me. Being different is fun, and I am grateful. They are all at celiasbooks.com, which is basically my website page that takes you to Amazon links easily. Get yourself a manual. Kids come with one now. And reach out. I am working on the International Day of Calm. If you're interested in being a part of it, reach out to me. And you can find me, go into Pumped Up Parenting or CeliaKibler.com and email me. Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you.
And that's what makes Celia an e-hero. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And please go to her website, pumpedupparenting.com. And you want to learn a little bit about me, you can go to anspachmedia.com. And make sure you buy our books, support us, help us out. But you can find me on Amazon, find Celia on Amazon. And I just want you guys to have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode.